The TikTok drama has led me to hockey romance. Hello, welcome to this new video where I'm gonna try and read the off-campus series. When I was scrolling through Kindle Unlimited, I saw they added all of the off-campus series. So I figured, why not read them all? Because I have the time and the chance to, because I have a feeling since this is a popular series, it won't be on Kindle Unlimited long. I downloaded everything last night except the first book because I actually already read that book late last year. It was probably in like November or December when I read The Deal. So I can give my thoughts on that before we get working on the other books, because I think there's 5 in the series. The off-campus series I found interesting because it's based off college hockey players and how they find their respective partners. And what I like is that they're all intertwined. So we do see the side characters that will later have their own book in the series, and we see them in the background from time to time within each of the books. And I like that the further you go along, you obviously see the other couples that end up happening in the later books. When I first read The Deal, I was really interested to see how the rest of the series was going to play out, just because I thought it was really cool that the characters we were introduced to in the first book, they had their own, romance novel in the series. The Deal follows Hannah and Garrett. Do I remember much about them or their relationship? No. But I do know I gave it 3.5 stars, which is good. It's solid. That means I was entertained. Hello. And honestly, it was like, damn, hockey maybe? I don't know, because I actually have no idea what happens in hockey at all. Another thing that I was really interested with reading this is I'm pretty sure this series started the whole whirlwind of hockey romances in the new adult romance genre. The first book came out in 2015, and I remember seeing it in bookstores. I think it was last year where I just started seeing so many YouTubers and TikTokers discuss hockey romances as its own genre as a whole. Dare I say, I think this series paved the way. I could be speaking out of my butt, I'm not sure. So I already read The Deal, so I'm not going to really get into that right now. Just know that I did enjoy it. So the second book, called The Mistake, follows Logan, who is Garrett's best friend, and I think he was the character we saw more of in the first book. And then it follows this freshman at Briar University, Grace. I'm 40% in, and y'all, I am laughing so hard reading this book because it's just unserious. Honestly, it's just unserious. I don't remember if the first book was as goofy as this one is, but I just found it crazy that chapter 1 they had no idea who they were, and chapter 3 they're already woohooing. Why is this going so fast? I literally was in shock. Y'all just met, but okay. But I have a feeling it's going super fast because it's under 300 pages, and I don't think The Deal was that short. I'm pretty sure all of these books are under 350 pages, but I know The Deal was over 300 pages because I don't remember it moving that fast. Maybe it did, so maybe I'm wrong. But chapter 3, I'm like, you guys, what? Okay, but anyway, I do find it unserious right now, but the book is making me laugh because one of Grace's quirks, because of course it's 2015, so every female character has to have quirkiness. But Grace's quirk is that she babbles when she's really nervous. So she'll just be spitting out random ass facts. She'll just go on unnecessary tangents. And I don't know why I think it's kind of funny. I don't know. I feel like it's funny because how they establish this character, it does kind of make sense that she would do that with books where they don't really explain or establish the character well. And then you see them do these random ass quirks. It's like, okay, girl, is that necessary? Is that necessary? No. But with her, to me, it does make sense. And I don't know why it's actually making me laugh. I think it's because I find this book unserious. Let's see. I do like Grace, and I surprisingly do like Logan. I'm usually a hater to the male protagonist in romance series, but I'm actually liking Logan. And I did like Garrett. I think I preferred Garrett's character over Hannah's in The Deal. But again, don't remember. Yeah, so far I'm liking both of them. Who I don't like and who I think is rude and nasty is Ramona, Grace's supposed best friend. Yeah, I have issues with her, but I'm hoping once I get past the 50% mark, I don't have to see her ever again. So yeah, don't like her, but I'm a fan of the 2 main love interests, so that's good. That's where I'm at right now. This is the intro, long ass intro, because I just went through 2 books. In the next clip, I should be telling you my final thoughts on the book, and I may be in this exact same outfit. I'm incredibly close to finishing this book because 1, reading on a Kindle is always super fast for me. I just get through books much faster on there. And number 2, when I checked how much time was left in the book, it's said I have 2 hours. So I'm like, let's crank this out so I can get the other ones going. I'll see you with my final thoughts on The Mistake. I have finished The Mistake by Elle Kennedy, and I gave it 3 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. I finished the book last night, and it's now the next day, and I started reading the 3rd book I'm flying through these. Back to The Mistake. My biggest issue with the book was honestly how fast-paced it was, because even though I read The Deal in December of last year, I do know it didn't move as quickly as this one did. I'm already reading the 3rd book, which is The Score, and it's not moving as fast as The Mistake is. Granted, I'm only like 30% in the 3rd book, but in the 2nd book, like I mentioned before, they were already woohooing in like the 3rd chapter, and then we have like this unnecessary gap in the middle where they're in summer break. So obviously they're not around each other, and there's just like a lull in the story. I feel like we could have really just scratched that whole middle section. I did like both of the characters, which I honestly was surprised of, because I feel like the jock type, it's always a hit or miss for me. They have to be written in a very specific way. Like honestly, like golden retriever type of way for me to actually enjoy that character. Every time it's like a bad boy arc, yeah, you're done for me. No, I don't want to read about this. But I did enjoy both of the characters, and by the end of the book, I did like their relationship. Again, it was just too fast paced for me, but I was entertained throughout everything that was happening. I did enjoy more of Logan's family's difficulties far more than Grace's side plot with like Ramona, or trying to, I don't know, like find herself, I guess, within sophomore year. And I was like, good for you, girl, but let's move back to Logan and his family troubles, because I'm actually interested about that. Yeah, I thought the book was just fine. To me, it was just an average romance book. I think the reason why I obviously have these final thoughts though is because I already started reading the 3rd book, and I like the progression of that story already much better than this past one. The other book, it was very clear Grace was gonna forgive him. He didn't need to do much, honestly, to win her back. She already forgave him, honestly, when they re-encountered again. Or honestly, no, in the summer, because I know she liked that he kept hitting her up. I already knew in the summer chapters that they were going to make up really quickly, because there has to be a point in the book where we actually see them dating. Since it was only like 30% in when they were in summer, I already knew they were likely going to be boyfriend or girlfriend or dating by 50-60% in the book. So that's my final thoughts on that book. I mean, there's not really much to say because it was just so fast. I think if it's a longer book, I would have more thoughts. I mean, I enjoyed both of the characters, and actually I really like seeing them pop up in this 3rd book. They don't pop up as much as Garrett and Hannah, and I'll explain that in a second, but I do like that I can now see 2 different couples popping up in these books. So I guess now moving on to The Score. This book follows Dean, one of the housemates of Garrett and Logan, and what I find interesting in this book is his love interest is actually Hannah, who's Garrett's girlfriend. That's her best friend / housemate, so we're gonna have overlap within friendships. So I actually really like that. Granted, I don't remember their friendship in book 1 at all, but I assume it was nice. I don't know what they're giving me right now. I kind of like the girls' friendship right now. So far in this book, I do prefer Allie's character more than Dean. For the 1st and 2nd books, I liked both the girl and guy love interests. So I'm kind of interested to see how that progresses with this one, considering I favor Allie's character more. Just because Dean's whole I'm so hot and I know it gets kind of cringe at some points in his dialogue that I literally like skim over it. I'm sorry, like I know that will probably make me a bad reader to some people, but I don't care. If some part is cringe, I'm skipping over it. Like I don't want to read that. Issues like that where I'm kind of like, dang it. I hope it gets better once they actually start dating and he tones it down, because this dialogue, I just literally can't. He reminds me of those super popular TikTok boys in like 2020 and 2021 would always like film themselves shirtless. That's what it's giving, and that's not okay. So I need that to stop. Also, it's kind of reminding me of the 2nd book too. The reason they kind of stopped being players was because of the woohoo incident, and like that they can't have it anymore. So I'm just like, okay. Completely unserious, but okay. I actually find it relatable, Allie's kind of identity crisis after breaking up with her ex. I already forgot his name, my bad. I feel like it could be relatable to a lot of girls where you've been in a relationship for so long, you don't know your identity without that partner. The biggest question I have for The Score is, what is the main conflict that happens that causes them to get together, and also the conflict that makes them break up or have a fight, because that always happens like 75% in the books. So So I'm interested to see how it ends. I'm likely gonna finish this tonight. I have like 2 hours left, and every time I read on my Kindle before bed, I sleep like a baby. So I'm probably gonna do that again tonight and get this over with so we can move on to the goal. I won't lie, the goal seems the most boring, but that's just because we don't see Tucker in any single one of these books. He is the least shown housemate in these books, so it's hard for me to gauge what his personality is or be interested in his storyline, because I feel like in The Mistake, they showed me a lot of Dean, so I would be excited to see Dean. But who knows, maybe Tucker will show up in the later half of the novel more. We will see, and I will see you with my final thoughts on the score. Unfortunately, I have finished the score, and based off of how I just said that sentence, you can tell what my rating is for the book. I'm not going to lie, after finishing this book, I do think I don't really like the other 2 books. Something in my head clicked after I finished this past book where I don't know if I actually enjoy these books. I'm not entirely sure now if I even really liked The Deal, which is so far my highest rated book out of the series, at a 3.5 star. I had a 3.5 star. Let me get into my issues with the score and then my issues with the fan base, because now I'm angry and now I'm confused. Okay, when I hear about this series, everyone raves about it, or the people who like hockey romances at least. They all say it's a good series, they all like it, and it happens to be one of the most popular, not only hockey romance series, but I do think romance series in general. I feel like everyone knows what the cover of The Deal looks like. So I do feel like this is a popular book series / book. Now, the score, Kennedy, please. Elle Kennedy, be serious. What is this? In my first video, I was very confused on how they're already woohooing so fast. Well, I should have known that this whole book would have just been them woohooing. I feel like there wasn't this much woohooing in the first book. All I can say about the score is literally all they did was smash. I don't really have anything to say about the book because Elle Kennedy gave me absolutely nothing. All they were doing were being horn dogs. So I'm like, okay, why is this book the second highest rated book in the series? Why? I had high expectations for this particular book because The Deal is the highest rated book out of the series, and then second is the score. Dean and Allie gave me absolutely nothing. Like, I don't even like Dean. Why is this the second highest rated book in the series? Why? Please someone tell me why. I need to know, please. And then the ending really confused me. Elle Kennedy knew she gave us nothing with this book because I think she wanted to not have like a super big issue, kind of like how every other romance book does, where there always has to be something serious going on with the character. Like, they can never just be happy. Dean is that character. Like, Dean is just a happy guy. He has a good life. He has good parents. He has good relationships with his family. And so one of the issues, I guess if you can call it that, in the book is Allie's father didn't like Dean for her, which didn't matter because they were still dating anyway. But yeah, he didn't like her for him because he thought he was gonna flake when something bad happens. And you want to know what Elle Kennedy decided would be the bad thing that happens? Bo, the random football player that we see occasionally, happens to be one of Dean's best friends, and then he dies. I'm like, okay, Elle Kennedy had no other thing to give Dean to give him an issue, so she was like, let me just kill off his best friend. And it can't be any of the hockey guys that live in this house. I don't know what I was expecting, honestly, from the midway point that I thought there was going to be more out of this book. They kept saying, like, everyone mourns in a different way. And it was like 3 weeks. It was like 3 weeks, I think, when they were like, no, we're done. Like, this is enough mourning, because I guess Bo's family just started going back to their normal day-to-day routine. But I'm like, Dean does have the privilege to not have to do that. Like, the other parents like probably just had to go back to work. This was an odd book. I don't really want to talk about this any longer because there's nothing of substance to say. I did give it a 2.5, and I realized that while I was rating this book, I score books very easily because the only book I've given 2 stars is The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, because I was so bored out of my mind just because the first chapter was stretched out so thin to the very end of the book. It could have been a short story, honestly. And that's what I felt the score was. It was just unnecessarily long. They did the same thing every chapter. It was dead ass like seeing Sam and Ron in Jersey Shore, where you know it's about to happen, yet they keep doing it. Yeah, I'm done. Now I can talk about The Goal, because I am halfway through that book. It was just unserious. The Goal is about Tucker, who's the 4th housemate in the hockey house, I guess, and his love interest is Sabrina James, which we heard about in the earlier chapters of the score. And Dean tells us that, like, he hates her guts, but in in that third book, I'm pretty sure we also find out she had a thing with Bo. All I know is that Tucker and Sabrina have a one-night stand, of course. In chapter 3, of course, that happens. And basically, the pregnancy, in the description, it tells you she's gonna have a baby. And in the third chapter, when they do the one-night stand, yeah, that's when the baby happens. That's when the baby happens, because they let us know they forgot the condom. So basically, they do start dating or falling for each other the few months after that. And right now I'm at the 50% mark where she was debating on keeping the baby or not, but she has now decided she wants to keep it. I think they had only been seeing each other for 2 months when Tucker assumes like, girl, I think you're preggo. I think you got a baby in your belly, which is true. In all of the previous books, Tucker is described as the one who's like the nurturing one and he wants a relationship. And keep in mind, Garrett, Logan, and Dean are players. They don't want a girlfriend. They're like, yuck, we don't want that. But Tucker, while he does partake in one night stands, he does want a girlfriend. Elle Kennedy decided to do for the last book was just like gender switch it and have his person of interest be the one who doesn't want any of that and is just into one night stands, doesn't want a commitment or anything. So I'm just like, okay, so this is the same book as all of the other books. So nothing has changed. Literally the only differences are the genders, but everything else is the exact same as the other books. So far, I really do think the second, third, and fourth books are just the same book. They have the same storyline of how they end up getting together. They have similar personalities on why they can't have a partner and why they're so surprised they're falling for this person, that I'm like, okay, I feel like the only unique storyline here was the deal, which is maybe why, I don't know, I think I'm just tired of the series because despite their characters having different home lives and background lives from the other 3 bozos, these ones, I'm just sick of this. Like, it's gonna be the same book. The one positive actually that I have liked in this book is in the score, Tucker is absent throughout a lot of it and we don't see where he is. At the end of the score, Tucker walks in and says he's having a baby, and this book doesn't start right after that sentence. We go a little bit back right when I think Dean and Allie started smashing, because that's when they started to smash as well, Tucker and Sabrina. So we get to fill in the gaps of where he was throughout all these moments, which I do think is cool, because I always wondered, how was he sneaking around like this, honestly? How did his friends not clock this? Tucker says he clocked Dean and Allie banging, but no one recognized like, yeah, he's with Sabrina or any, I don't know, but whatever. The real drama will happen, I think, once they actually decide to tell everyone, because that's when the timeline progresses. Because right now we're still kind of in the past to when the score was taking place. That's where I'm at. Don't read the score. If you're thinking of reading this series, don't. And if you still end up doing it, just skip the score, because it's the same book as The Mistake, just more woohooing. The characters aren't that great for you to even bother. Dean and Allie are not that great of characters or unique enough of characters to just read their story. So if you do feel like you need to read this series, just skip out on that one. Honestly, like, it's not that great. I'm just so surprised that it's literally the second highest rated book. I cannot believe that, honestly. Anyway, I'm gonna keep reading so I can finish this damn series. I'll see you guys in the next clip once I finish the goal. I'm not expecting much. I think that's my best way to continue reading the series, just to not expect anything. I finished the goal. I realized after finishing this past book that what the off-campus series is and what it's done for their own genre, hockey romance is its own thing, but I think this specific series is like the smut hockey romance genre, and I don't think that type of romance is for me. I'm not like opposed to smut in books, like that's not what I'm saying. I think I just prefer a stronger storyline or something more emotional, connecting characters together than like their physical relationship. I realized this after I started editing some of the clips from this video where I was damn near yelling. I was damn near yelling about my dislike for the last book. And so when I finally did some digging about what hockey romance is, I think I'm just not a fan of this genre as a whole. So I think I'm gonna probably cut out a lot of the critiques. And I was kind of going off on what the story is when it's like I could have easily just not, it's just not for me. That's what I kind of want to clarify, because I was going off a little too hard on the books when in reality, I just don't think this genre is for me. But moving on from my opinions as a whole on the off-campus series and this type of genre, I'm gonna now talk about the goal. So the goal follows Tucker and Sabrina James. Tucker is the housemate that we literally never see. So when I first got into the book, I genuinely didn't care much about him at all because I never got to see him. At least with the other boys, I was slowly getting introduced to them in the other books. So I was excited to hear about them and see how their personalities are, especially in a relationship. He's the one who kind of always wanted a relationship. He's like the nurturing guy in the house. I don't want to say feminine, but he was the one who had the maternal instincts in the house and wasn't a complete dog. Yes, he did still sleep around, but I'm saying in, keeping the home as a home and not just a party house, Tucker did a lot of that work. It was said that he was the guy who cooked and cleaned a lot. So that's really all we knew going into this book. So the goal is the only one where we kind of go back in time a little bit because Dean and Allie and Tucker and Sabrina's relationships overlap when they start. So we had to go back in time a little bit. The reason I didn't really care for these characters or their issue, I guess, is it's again the same book where it's like they start off by being friends with benefits and they start to fall for each other, but one partner always lacks the emotional intelligence to let their feelings be known and they're too scared to show it, which they need therapy for, honestly. That's always what happens until someone finally spits out I love you or that they care for the other person. And I was just sick of it. I was like, okay. So far it's been the boys who are scared of being emotionally available and open with their partners. Now it's Sabrina who's scared of telling Tucker how she really feels about him and how she wants to be with him. But my issue with that is you guys are having a child together. Why are you scared to say that? That's your baby daddy. Why are you guys scared of being honest with your feelings when you're 8 months pregnant? Or not even that, the baby was already out. The baby was already out and they could not say, I want to be with you. I don't know. Who am I to say I don't have a kid? I thought that was odd. I was like, y'all, you guys are grown people. It's not even that they were 15 or 16. They were 22. There's not much to say about the plot of the story besides the issues are the same on how they struggle with being open about their feelings. There's just a child in the mix. That's really the only difference with this book compared to all the other ones. So yeah, I think that's why these books are not for me. I don't think I actually like these books. I might give it a 2.75 even though I don't really like rating books like that. But now I seem like a hater. I don't like to rate books low. I may talk a lot of trash about books, but I don't like to give them low ratings. I can really talk bad about a book and I will still give it 3 stars. I don't know. Because the author tried. The author published it. Good for them. I can never do that. I can never write a book. The next book I have to read in the series, and it's the final book, is The Legacy. It's 3 years after graduation in The Legacy. I assume they're all gonna be together and stay together. I think after reading this, I don't think hockey romance is for me. I don't think that's my genre. I don't think sport romance in general actually is my drama. I need them to be normal. Actually, another thing I realized when I read these, they're all white. I didn't know that. In the epilogue, when Sabrina asks where Dean is because she can't see his blonde hair, I was like, oh, blonde? Okay, because I was not picturing Dean to be a white guy. I'm still not picturing him as a white guy, but it's kind of hard to get out of that now when I assume there's probably going to be more mentions of their hair color that I was just disregarding in the books. But yeah, that's my opinion on the book. This might be my shortest clip yet on my opinions because I'm just tired. I just kind of want to get over this series and be done with it and move on to a different book I can read. I'll see you guys once I'm done with The Legacy because I don't plan on doing a midpoint check-in for that because I don't really think there's a point. Yeah, I'll see you once I'm done with The Legacy. I'm back a week later. I have completed The Legacy, which means I have read the off-campus series. I finished The Legacy earlier in the week, and I was just too tired mentally to film this clip on what I thought. But because it took me a week to sit down, I have forgotten a little bit of the book. I did rate it a 2-star because I just was uninterested. I didn't really care what happened to these couples. The only couple I actually really did care about was Garrett and Hannah's story because in my personal opinion, I think the couples that had the most drama were Dean and Allie and Garrett and Hannah. They kind of had more serious relationship problems that were oh my gosh, how is this gonna get resolved? I don't want to get into Logan and Grace and Sabrina and Tucker's parts in The Legacy just because it was boring. Grace and Logan eloped and I'm gonna be so for real, I don't actually know what happened to Tucker and Sabrina. Most of my opinions are coming from the more exciting parts. So basically Dean and Allie, they have different opinions on getting engaged because for Allie, getting engaged means she has to go into marriage and starting a family really soon after. So she wants to hold off on that. But Dean wants to show her how committed he is towards her, so he wants to propose even if they are engaged for a long time. But Allie just has this whole idea in her head of how she has things planned for her life, so she doesn't want to do that. So they have this argument because she low-key, not low-key, She rejects him. She doesn't let Dean even ask the question. So that's what we read about in their story. And then Garrett and Hannah. Hannah is pregnant and has kept it from Garrett for like months. And it isn't until I believe she thinks she has a miscarriage that she tells him, because she needs him to take her to the hospital. Obviously, all 4 couples end well. Like, we know they're gonna end up fine. Like, we know they're all endgame. And at the end of the book, actually, Garrett and Hannah's daughter actually gets her own book while she's at Briar University. And I'm like, I would say out of all of the books, The Legacy is definitely the most boring. I guess because each couple takes up 20 to 30% of the story. And obviously there's different severities of their issues within each couple that you're gonna feel more engaged reading one couple's story than the other. I just found The Legacy kind of unnecessary to make, because I'm pretty sure all of the other books have epilogues. Like, you kind of know what happens. But yeah, I have completed the series. My final thoughts, not for me. Don't think I like hockey romance or sports romance in general. This kind of just turned me off of it. What I did get out of these books is, because they were on the shorter side, I was able to get closer to my reading goal for this year, because I was like 3 books behind. My final thoughts are, I literally don't like this series. I have concluded after reading The Legacy, I don't even like any of the couples. There was more to say about the other books, because it was about the couple's own story, and this one's just all of them looped together, and the book I found was boring. So damn, this is how I'm gonna end the video then, just with a mundane and subpar review of this book. But whatever, I guess that's how it works. Hopefully I can finish an exciting series another time in another video. Hopefully I can find a romance series that I enjoy. I guess I'll be on the hunt for that now. But yeah, I'll see you in my next video.